everyone. Good morning from India. This is Sandeep Bose, communication trainer and motivational speaker. Welcomes you all to Passion Podcast 2.0, episode 9. This time we have a special guest joining all the way from Kerala. She is a very experienced IELTS trainer, has done her Delta CELTA certifications, worked with British Council for more than 9 years, now working with Cambridge Assessment English. Let's welcome our guest for the day, Chitra Velayudh. Hello, Chitra ma'am. How are you doing? Welcome to Passion Podcast 2.0.
Hello, Sandeep. Glad to be here. I'm fine. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fine. I was just giving your introduction to my audience and I informed them that you are joining us all the way from Kerala. So, first, tell me how's the weather in Kerala, and those who are
Well,
watching outside India, tell them something about your city, God's own country.
right. So I'm staying in Trivandrum, which is the capital of Kerala,
Right.
and it's a beautiful city, a good place to make a visit, to spend some time, some relaxing time. And
Yeah.
the weather is perfect today. Sun is out, but it's not that hot or humid. So that's how it is.
Okay.
Welcome to Kerala, of course. It's a good place to have a relaxed holiday.
Okay, I'm joining from Kolkata, and it's raining cats
Right.
and dogs since the
Oh,
morning. Okay,
all
yes,
right.
and why they call Kerala the God's own country?
I think because it's so beautiful,
Yeah,
you go to any part of Kerala and you either have a seaside or you have beautiful green forests and hills. Some places have both, which is
right.
quite rare, I think. You have the seaside and you have hills in the distance, so you can, according to your preference, you can visit the hill station or you can, relax on the seaside. And yeah, pollution is less when compared to other places. It's
Yeah,
basically quite a clean state. I guess that's the reason.
right, right. And also, if you know, the literacy rate is the highest in our country, right,
True.
compared to other states as well.
That's
And I always see, qualified doctors, lawyers, teachers, professors from the state. They are doing amazingly well, not only in India, outside India as well. So you are also a very experienced trainer right now, and you are working with Cambridge Assessment English, and you have had a huge experience working for British Council. So I would like to know, Chitra ma'am, from you that how this journey started. You always wanted to become a trainer, or this has happened because of your love for the language or because of your passion?
well, a little of both actually. Right from my childhood, I've always wanted to be a teacher. So when I was a kid, I used to teach all the other kids in the neighborhood or my sisters. I love doing that. And but at that point, obviously, I didn't know which subject I wanted to teach. Nothing like that. I just
Okay.
loved the profession. But as I grew up, I started to read a lot of books, and this love for language and love for English literature that took root. And also, I
Right.
had people in my family. I come from a family of teachers. So
Right.
both my grandfathers are teachers. My dad is a doctor, but he also teaches at the medical college. He used to. Now he's retired. So quite a few cousins. I have cousins whom I'm very close to and who are teachers. So they all inspired me. And so that's how. So when I was say, 10 or 12 years old, I knew I'm going to be an English teacher slash trainer. Of course, that's a new concept, but I knew I was going to teach English when I grew up.
Great.
No
It
confusion.
is. It was. I think it must be amazing to know that you what you wanted to become in future, and you knew that at a very early age.
Yes.
So amazing. Uh, you mentioned that you'd like to read some books at that point of time when you were in school or maybe in college. Do you remember what kind of books you used to read, or did you have any
Yes.
favorite author or any particular book in?
Uh, well, when I was in school, I remember Enid Blyton books were very popular in those days. I don't know if children read them now. And along with that, I also used to read classics because our school had a very good library. So, in the afternoon lunch break, instead of going out and playing, I used to go to the library. There were several of us who used to do that, and we used to and it had a very good collection of classics. So I remember reading books like Tom Sawyer, then the books written by Charles Dickens, um, a lot of Jane Austen. I read those at quite an early age, thanks to our school library.
Yeah, I can relate to you because I also completed my bachelor's in English. Right, we also had to read all Jane Austen, Shakespeare,
Right.
Charles Dickens, and yeah, amazing. So now I would like to ask you that you have worked for so many years with British Council. So when we talk about British Council, it's the pioneering institute all over the world. They have centers, and they set the standard. And
Right.
how's your experience working for them for so many years? And did you have a dream that you would like to work for British Council? How did this happen?
Well, to tell you the truth, I started my career as a teacher in school and later in college. I was a school teacher, and I used to teach college students in the initial stages. And it was a little later in my life that I got to know about the British Council. It must have been around 2005 or 2006. And when I heard about the British Council and they're looking for examiners for their English exams, so the British Council conducts English exams for different age groups, for people from different backgrounds. So I got to know about it, applied, and I got selected.
Okay.
That's how my journey with the British Council first started as an examiner.
So you have completed initially you completed your bachelor's, then masters,
Right.
and after that, did you have any qualification for this teaching in college or anything, any other degrees you pursued?
I took my B.Ed,
Okay,
and I didn't take any other qualification because we were traveling so much. By then, I was married, and
okay,
every 2 or 3 years, we were in a new city, in a new place. But because of that, I got a lot of exposure as well,
right.
teaching different age groups, different students. And I did my PGDTE, that was a little later in life, from IFLU, that is English and Foreign Languages University in Hyderabad. So
Right.
PGDTE is the postgraduate diploma for teaching adult learners English. So
Okay.
that helped me for teaching adults, college students, or working professionals.
Right. So you mentioned that you joined British Council at much later in your life, right? Initially, you were working as a school teacher, then from
That's
school
right.
to college. Uh, how this transition happened, or how do you see this transition from a school college teacher? Suddenly, you are teaching students who are working professionals and they want to clear IELTS, or maybe they want to become trainers. How's this transition?
It
How do you
was
see
a
this
very big
transition?
change. Sorry. It was a really big change. It was a wonderful change, but it was transformative because it also changed me as a person. When I went through
Yeah,
the, training to be a teacher, the teacher training is fantastic.
yeah,
That also changed me as a person, and it changed the way I approach the profession, the
right,
teaching and learning skill. So that was a very, very, I would say it's a very important milestone in my life.
right. Right. And I believe that before you joined British Council, you have completed your degrees like CELTA.
Yes, so it's compulsory before if you want to become a teacher with the British Council to do the CELTA, which is a certificate of English language teaching for adults.
Right.
So the time I joined, so earlier I was an examiner. Then I heard that teaching centers, British Council teaching centers were looking for teachers, and that's when I applied. At that time, the teaching centers were just in their initial stage; they were just being set up, and
Okay.
so the British Council was conducting training courses for teachers who are going to teach at these teaching centers. It was called the preset, and
Okay.
it is considered, it is a CELTA, but it was done in-house. It
It
was a
was
kind
in
of
which city?
the training I did in Kolkata
Okay.
because that's where it was happening at the time. At that
Okay.
time, I didn't know that I would spend 8 years in Kolkata, that I would
You s-
teach
you
for so many
spent
years.
8 years in Kolkata.
I was I,
Okay.
I Yes, I was working with the British Council in Kolkata till
Amazing. This
2016.
this fact I didn't know. Okay, all right. So, how's your experience living in the city for 8 years?
Oh, I love the city. It's my all-time favorite. I feel so comfortable in the city. I love the culture. I love the food. I love the people. I have some of my best friends in that city. So, yeah, I would. Uh, Last 2 years, I've not been able to visit, but it's due. I'd love to come back and spend
Sure,
some time there.
sure, definitely. Um, so you mentioned that you have completed CELTA, then you worked with British Council, and I think there, with the help of British Council, they helped you to get another degree, which is Delta. So now, those who are watching this podcast from different places, and those who are not related to teaching and training, especially IELTS and English, so it's a jargon for them. So can
Yeah.
you tell more about these two degrees? Like already you mentioned about CELTA, but can you tell more about this degree called Delta, and what is the significance of these degrees, and how, where these degrees can take you in your professional career?
Absolutely. So, CELTA, as I mentioned earlier, is a certificate in teaching English to adults. Anyone can do a CELTA. So,
Right.
that's something great. You don't need to have a degree in English, or you don't need to have teaching experience in English to do
Okay.
the CELTA.
Okay.
But once you complete the CELTA, I mean, it's recognized all over the world.
Okay.
And in India as well, it is recognized by many schools, including international schools. In fact, international schools might actually require you to have
Okay.
a CELTA in addition to B.Ed.
Right.
Abroad, you get many opportunities to work abroad, say in
Hmm.
Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia,
Hmm.
uh, Thailand, as well as in the Middle East.
Okay.
So you can get work in Dubai or Abu
Hmm.
Dhabi or Saudi Arabia if you have a CELTA, as
Okay.
well as other countries abroad. So
Right.
it's a very valuable qualification. It's a bit expensive, but I
Hmm.
would really recommend that if you have a passion for teaching, you go ahead, and you also have a passion for traveling and seeing the world.
Right.
This is a very good investment,
Hmm.
in your future. So after you complete your Delta and start teaching, you have to do a certain number of hours. So I think I worked for around 3 years, 3 to 4
Okay.
years in the British Council
Okay.
when I started doing my Delta.
Right.
It was my manager who encouraged me to do Delta. So Delta is a diploma. So just like CELTA is a certificate,
Okay.
Delta is a diploma. It's a higher qualification.
Right.
It requires you to have more experience
Okay.
in teaching after CELTA.
Okay. If I'm not
And
wrong, Delta is the highest, right? Highest
Delta,
degree.
yes, yes. In this particular group of qualifications, Delta is the highest. However, having said that, some foreign universities also accept Delta, as part of the postgraduate course.
Okay. Okay.
So, if you're planning to do a master's abroad in language or language teaching, you get some credits. You get quite a few number of credits if you've done your Delta. So then you can
Right.
go on and complete your postgraduate course abroad.
Right. Right. And one more question I would like to ask. You mentioned that anybody can do CELTA, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
is it like they have to be from an English medium background, or if they are from a regional medium background? Why I'm asking, because I'm also a trainer, and my background is not an English medium. So, is it that anybody from regional medium background also they can also do this kind of course?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I've known several CELTA students who are from, in Kolkata itself, who are from regional language backgrounds. The thing is that they joined English courses, they brushed up their language skills, they made sure that you're fluent. So, Sandeep, you're very fluent. I mean, you speak so well in English that I can't make out whether you studied at what age you started studying English. So, as long as you're proficient in English, you've done
Right.
your bit to study English and improve your fluency and overall language skills, you can do the CELTA. There's no, no, that's not even an obstacle or a hurdle that you should think of. Just go ahead and
Okay.
do it.
So if somebody is proficient enough, they can do it, and even they can be hired by British Council or
Yes.
Cambridge, right?
Yes.
Right. So,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, please. Tell me.
No, the British Council, yes, the British Council does absorb CELTA, CELTA students who have achieved a certain high, a good grade, because there are different grades you can get. About Cambridge, getting employment in Cambridge, I'm not that sure. I think Cambridge might require maybe a graduate degree or a postgraduate degree in English, as well as
Right.
teaching experience,
Right.
because I'm working with the teaching side, the assessment side of Cambridge. So they might
Understood.
require that as well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you are working also with Cambridge as a, I think, content creator, right? Content developer.
Yes.
Yes. So there are two sides. Like being a teacher, you just only teach, right? You don't
Right.
need to think about the content. Sometimes you get the contents, and you just need to express. You need to make them understand the concepts. But being a content creator, I believe it's a lot of tasks because you have to think, you have to make contents, you have to do proofreading, editing, and then
Absolutely.
criticism will happen. People will check if they don't find it interesting enough. You have to do it once again.
Oh,
It's a
yes.
rigorous. It's a
It's
rigorous
all part of the
process. It's a,
package.
yeah, hectic, very hectic task. So how do you manage this? And did you have this habit of writing things or making contents since your childhood, or you developed it throughout your teaching experience, during your
Uh,
teaching experience?
when I was a child, yes, I used to write. I used to write stories or I used to write poetry. But later on, I just lost the habit. I also used to write skits when I was in school and college. I used to write skits for my classmates, for a particular occasion, for a special occasion. But after that, I lost touch with writing because life became so busy and so hectic with my family and teaching. Um, but later on, after joining the British Council, I started creating content for the British Council. So that's how I first came into that field. But I was doing that side by side with teaching. It was, I mean, sometimes it was required. And then Cambridge came later. Cambridge started about 2 years ago when someone I knew who works in Cambridge approached me and asked me if I would be interested. And of course, you know that name, Cambridge University, it's so well known. Of
Amazing.
course, I expressed my interest, and it's quite a rigorous routine, as you said. So, writing passages or writing scripts for recordings and then edits, rewriting, revision. It's quite a rigorous thing, but I enjoy it. And I've realized I've actually got back to one of my interests, that is writing, before, with which I had lost touch.
So how do
Yeah,
you multitask? How do you manage your time? Because you are also working as a full-time
yeah.
trainer, right?
I'm not working full time as a trainer. So the time I'm right now, I'm freelancing. So that
Okay,
gives me a lot of flexibility. So when I'm doing content writing, I don't take up that much teaching. I
then
devote
students.
more of my time to the content writing. Yeah. So that's what I like. I have the flexibility now to do different things and also to take a break if I want to. A lot more flexibility now that I'm working on my own. Right now, I'm a freelancer. I'm self-employed,
Yeah. So
and I
so
like this routine. Sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
What did you say?
I said I like this routine. I like the freedom it gives me.
Being a freelancer. Uh, but I believe that you must have many students who are interested to clear IELTS, right? Or they want to develop their communication. Uh,
Yes,
so British Council and Cambridge, both these institutions are from England. Why I'm keep repeating the names, because you have majorly worked with these two organizations in your career, and I believe that while working for them, you have learned many things and you have enriched your knowledge or wisdom because of you met. I believe that you met with many amazing people, amazing teachers, leaders who are making these brands even more bigger. So anything you want to share which you have learned, which you didn't know before, or something
oh, yes.
which you want to share?
I learned so much. As I said, it was transformational. Actually, my entire career with the British Council. I think if you ask me to specify one of the skills that helped me improve as a person, it was improving my listening skills. So until then, as a teacher, probably I used to talk more in class or lecture more to the students, but I learned to be an active listener, to pay more attention to what my students had to say to me, to give them time to tell me their story, their interests, their requirements. So that was one, I think that was one important skill that I'm still developing. But I started that journey, with the British Council. Another aspect of teaching, making learning more student centric. So the British Council puts a lot of emphasis on that, focusing on the individual learner, their interests, their goals, sort of customizing or personalizing their learning for them, and also making them independent learners, which is part of our, you know, it should be part of our task actually as a teacher. So these are some of the things that I learned. Of course, a lot more, but since you asked me to specify, yeah, these are two things that I'd like to share.
Actually, I took an interview of a trainer. His name is Utsav Rufus. So he messaged
Right.
me yesterday and he said
Oh,
that, how do you know Chitra ma'am? So I said that I am interviewing her. So he said that she was my teacher and she's an amazing teacher. So I just wanted to
oh,
say through this
that's so
platform.
nice of you.
Yeah. So now the question that would like to ask you is, since you are working as a trainer, IELTS trainer, communication coach, uh, I believe you must get a lot of inquiries from students, right? How to develop
Right.
communication, how to become fluent, how to clear IELTS, how to get a good band score in IELTS, especially in speaking. Speaking is the something that many people are facing the difficulty, in order to express, or maybe vocabulary is a big concern from many of them. What you want to tell to the people who would like to improve their communication, and what do you think is the most important element when it comes to speaking? How they improve this skill? If you can share that for our audience.
Sure. So, personally, if you're talking about improving your communication in English,
Yeah,
especially listening and speaking, I think the most important thing you need to do is to immerse yourself in English as much as possible. By immersing, I mean listening to good programs in English. So you have, thanks to the internet, we have wonderful channels that we can listen to now on YouTube. Watch movies and films in English if that's
right,
part of your interest. Listen to
right,
English music,
right.
and of course speak in English. Now this is
Yeah,
very difficult for a lot of students because they say, ma'am, there's no one to whom I can speak on a regular basis in English. If
right,
that's the case, I would recommend you join an online platform. There are so
right,
many tutors, so many websites, online platforms that give you this opportunity, and they're not all very expensive.
right,
And at least for an hour, if not more, every day, speak in English. If you don't have that opportunity to join a platform, there's a difficulty. Speak to yourself. Speak to
right,
yourself in English. Try at least for half an hour. Try to think in English when you're speaking in English, rather than translating, thinking in your mother tongue and
right.
translating. Try to think in the same language. Yeah, listen to English. Listen to more English on BBC or Voice of America, some good standard channels. So these are all things you can do. To write the IELTS and get a higher band score, it is necessary to have a certain level in English, an intermediate level in English. Because most students, as well as working people, need a band 6 or a band 7 to get through. So if you're looking at that kind of score, I feel you should spend at least 6 months to a year, at least 6 months to a year, brushing up your English language skills before you write the IELTS. Otherwise, try to do both simultaneously. If you don't have the time, you want to write your IELTS in 4 months or 5 months, uh, do both. Learn general English as well as IELTS, take IELTS training simultaneously.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's very difficult.
Right. So, if somebody would like to have a career on teaching and training, how they should approach themselves. Maybe, say for example, they don't have any experience on this IELTS or anything. So, what do you recommend? How they should start? Should they prepare for IELTS first, then they prepare for this big courses like TESOL, TOEFL, CELTA?
Well, if you want to become an IELTS trainer, first of all, you have to know as much as possible about IELTS. So, visiting the websites, British Council website for IELTS, IELTS.org, which is the home of IELTS, IDP Australia also has a very good platform for IELTS. So, visiting the websites and getting to know all the aspects of IELTS. Then doing the practice tests yourself. These are also available on the internet. So doing the practice tests yourself. The British Council does have IELTS Train the Trainer course. So you can join for the course and get trained to become a trainer for IELTS. I've also done that, by the way, initially.
Okay,
So that was very useful.
right.
So these are things you
And
can do.
yeah, and if anybody would like to take classes from you, if they want to take IELTS classes from you, then how do they reach out to you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay,
So you can reach out on LinkedIn anytime. I can help you.
okay, sure. So, if you want, I can. If you give me the permission, I'll also put this LinkedIn account link with this video, so that if they want to
Sure.
reach out to you, they can reach out to that. Okay. Now,
Absolutely.
okay, yeah. So now we are almost at the end of the podcast, and it's a Sunday, so I believe that you have many other works to do and other house chores as well. But now I would like to ask you something about from your personal life. Like you said that you are a mother and you are a wife as well. So being a mother and being a wife, it's a full time responsibility, especially being a mother. How did you manage with your profession, because your profession demands 100% commitment all the time, because the positions you have worked or the organizations you have worked, um, hard work, consistency matters a lot. How did you manage throughout this journey from being a mother and being a wife and many other roles and responsibilities?
Well, it's a kind of balancing act, to be sure. I think many other working women will agree with me. But I've been teaching almost from the time my daughter was a baby. And so my family is used to me, being on the job, being preoccupied with my professional and academic work. They're used to me being like that. I think if I stop working or I spend all my time with household chores, they would find that a bit odd. So since I started working side by side with, other aspects of my personal life, it's been quite a natural progression. And I did take time in between, like right now I'm a freelancer. So same way, when my child was young, I did take a break. So at that time again, I was teaching part time. I was I was not doing full time work. And then it's only after she grew up, when she was a teenager, she was able to take care of herself and all, that's when I came back to full time work. So that has helped me. Teaching has given me that flexibility to take breaks, to take periodical breaks, and then come back and pick up where I left off.
So, in this journey of many, many years, how did the support of your family help you to achieve all your goals?
Absolutely, they've been beside me. They've been come along with me all the way. Without their support, obviously, I wouldn't have been able to, continue working all these years. Right now, my daughter is also a trainer. She's a trainer for French and Spanish.
Okay,
So she understands the work perfectly, and she still supports me. She still helps me a lot, especially with the technical aspects of the job, because now I do more of online training. So
right.
yes, my family has always been a great support, and I'm thankful for that.
So, during your teaching career, what are the places you mentioned that traveling is a part of this process? So, what are the places you have visited so far because of your teaching career?
It was not exactly because of teaching. My as a family, we had moved to a lot of places, so I moved along with the family actually. So
Okay, okay. Your
that in
husband has a transferable job?
yes, he had a transfer. He was in marketing. He's a metallurgical engineer. He was in marketing, so he did have a transferable job. A couple of times he moved to a new company. So that's the way I also got the opportunity to travel and get exposure to different places, different cultures, and work in different environments and different groups of people. So that was great.
Understood. And one more question I would like to ask you, Chitra ma'am, before you leave, which is very important nowadays. Also, being a teacher, I face this challenge that many students they come from different backgrounds. Most of them are working professionals, and they have some of them has a heavy MTI. So MTI is mother tongue influence for those who
Right.
don't know this, uh, and their accent is not good. Pronunciation also average, right? And they ask this question that, sir, how should we develop pronunciation, accent, and so I tell them that you need to practice, but it will not happen overnight, right? Because they are into this for many many years, so they cannot expect this to be happen within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Maybe it will take 1 year, 2 year, more than that as well,
Absolutely.
right? How
Absolutely.
should they? Yeah, so many of them might be watching this podcast. So how should they develop pronunciation and neutral? How they develop this neutral accent, because they are heavy. Many of them are heavy, has heavy MTR, and many of them comes from South India, because I've seen South Indian people, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Karnataka. They have a different MTI accent compared to the other parts of the country. How to get rid of this and how to develop pronunciation and accent,
Well,
and
that's a
how
good
long
question.
it can take. How long it can take.
Well, that depends. But right now, actually, English is a global language. So, one good thing about this is that accents are being accepted, different accents. So, you'll see people having Spanish accents or people coming from, say, from China or
Italy.
yeah, Japan. Yeah, they have very strong accents as well. But the important thing to focus on is that you are intelligible or comprehensible, right? So, completely getting rid of your accent, as you said, it will take a very long time. Even I'm speaking with an Indian accent, so that's fine. It's fine because you can understand what I'm saying, or even a person maybe from abroad will be able to understand most of what I'm saying, right? So I think the focus should be on comprehensibility or intelligibility of your speech. How can you improve that? Well, if you want to start from scratch, BBC Learn English website has a lovely series of videos about the different sounds of English. So there are some sounds in the English language, like for example, je, which we don't have in Indian languages. So we tend to replace je with an Indian sound, like say je. So I think if
Right.
you want to start from scratch, start from those videos, practice the sounds of English. Along with the sounds, they also give sample words, example words. And then when you move on to intonation and rhythm, I think listening is the best practice. So again, visit the good websites of the British Council Learning English website for English learners, BBC Learn English, or the Dictionary Oxford, Cambridge. They all have websites for English learners where you can learn the standard English accent by listening. So listening and then imitating. Just listening will not help you. You will have to stop the video and repeat. So you can watch videos with the transcripts, and maybe after a couple of sentences, you can stop and repeat the sentence. Try to imitate the speaker. So this is one thing you can do. This is called shadow reading. Shadow reading. This is one thing you can do to improve your intonation and rhythm. As far as pronunciation is concerned and accent is concerned, I don't think people have to be so worried about that. As long as you are intelligible to the majority, if people can understand your ideas, they get your message. They don't have to worry too much about accent because Nowadays, rather than having an artificial accent, it's better to have to speak naturally with your natural, spontaneous way of speaking. Personally, this is my take on this topic.
I can relate to you so much because I learned the accent and pronunciation like this way, listening and
Yes,
imitating. And I tell the same thing to my learners also. Uh, last question, Chitra ma'am, which
sure.
is most important for you is what is the definition of teaching according to you?
Well, that's a lovely question. I think teaching students, it's joining their life journey. It's helping them achieve their milestones. So again, the more you know about your learners, the more involved you are with them, the kind of bond you have with them. I think that's personally, again, I think that's important because everyone may not share this view.
Yeah,
There is an emotional connect. I think you need that emotional connect when you're teaching. Otherwise, there's a limit to how much students can actually relate to you, and they can benefit from the journey. So it's just being interacting with your students and knowing them and knowing their goals, as I said earlier, their interests, and helping them in their journey rather than lecturing to them or rolling out information. I think it's sort of transforming their life, helping them to change their lives through their learning, especially because language is a skill, it's a life
right.
skill. So the more they improve, the more they'll see its reflection in their own life, in their personal life, professional life. And that's when you, as a teacher, you feel really fulfilled.
And how do you think about curiosity? Do you think curiosity is important to become a good speaker in the
Yes,
language?
absolutely. Yeah, not only a speaker, I think a good learner,
Good
whatever is
learner?
your, yeah, whatever subject you're learning, you should have that curiosity. Curiosity not only, so as far as language is concerned, of course, learning more about the language, learning the vocabulary, grammar, learning more about culture, the culture of the language. So if you are learning English, it's also important that you're curious about British culture, American culture, yeah, Australian, the people who speak the language, which is quite different from ours because language at the end of the day, it's a reflection of culture. So it's very important to want to know more and to ask questions. I always encourage students to ask questions. So don't hesitate to ask questions. That's the only way forward. There's no such thing as a foolish question or a stupid question. Pardon my language. There's no such thing. Every question is a good question. So I think that's the way you should move ahead in your learning, in your
Right,
education.
right. So this podcast has been amazing and so enriching with your presence, and I feel
Thank you
like
so much.
keep talking with you, but I know that you are busy, so we have to end this podcast in this note. And before you go, Chitra ma'am, I'd like to thank you once again for taking your time out from your busy schedule and joining that too on a all Sunday. Thank you once again.
Thank
And
you so much.
any message you're welcome. Any message you would like to share to the viewers of this podcast who are watching
Yes.
or will be watching this in the future?
I would like to encourage all the learners, irrespective of their age, to be lifelong learners, lifelong students, and keep learning, keep moving ahead, spread your wings. You can achieve your dreams. And age or gender or nationality, none of those things matter at all. It's like, as you mentioned, Sandeep, the curiosity. It's the need to learn more and more, and to
Yeah.
share that and to share that learning. I think that's what makes you grow as a person. So, all the best to all of you in your learning journey.
This is my personal experience. Some places I went and I felt that asking too many questions, people get offended or not offended. Sometimes they get irritated, and other students also. Why this guy is asking? They feel
I
like
understand.
why this guy is asking too many questions. It happened with me, So I felt
Right.
that that is not the right place, to stay. So then I shifted and I seen places where they encourage the people. I'm not talking about the students, employees. They encourage the employees to ask questions, to drill them. And I felt that this is the right approach. And this is how you
Yes.
grow, right? Because if you
Yes.
are not, if somebody is restricting you, you are not asking questions, you are not challenging them, then you are not growing. At the same time,
Yeah.
those persons are also not growing. They don't
Yes.
want to grow in their life. So thank you once again, ma'am, for
Thank
sharing
you so
this.
much,
And
Sandeep.
I
Thank you
learned
for
many things. I learned many things from you, and I will apply this in my teaching as well. And I think that it will be amazing experience for me to teach because I have learned so many things. So I wish you all the best, Chitra ma'am,
thank
and
you.
I
Thank
hope that you keep teaching and keep inspiring many other teachers and trainers in your community the way you have already done. And
thank you so
take
much.
care.
And all
Bye
the
bye.
best to you as well. All the
Thank you
best to
so much.
you as well.
Thank you so much. Means a lot. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.